Yes, we are back live, and we're here to talk about the complexities of what some would call a place for Black excellence, and others would call a place for Black elitism. And that place would be Martha's Vineyard, some place that I have visited many, many times over many decades, and I can firsthand share my experience on both sides of the coin. But I also want to share the top 10 reasons why every Black person who is interested in access to information and building community should visit and experience Martha's Vineyard at least once in their life. And I don't mean just going over for the day and walking around and sightseeing. I mean, at least a minimum of 3 days, immerse yourself in the culture, and I'm sure you will be surprised. So, first, let me introduce myself, and then we'll get into exactly what Martha's Vineyard is all about, why I think places like Martha's Vineyard being number one on the list, are so important to what's going on today. And then, if there are any questions, we'll take those. But we're not going to be here tonight for a long time, I promise you. My throat's a little scratchy. But I did want to come in because I just returned back from Martha's Vineyard, and there's some conversations that are happening, some questions that I'm being asked, and some preconceived notions about this place, which I think it's time to address. And so I see some of the gymnasium people popping in, and I'll acknowledge you in a second. But I kind of just want to do the introduction first, and then we'll get into the conversation. So, as I mentioned, you know, or maybe I didn't mention it tonight, but this channel is all about staying ready so we don't have to get ready in the areas of finance, in the areas of health and fitness, and in the areas of travel. And Martha's Vineyard basically is a place that encompasses so many of those touch points. And there's an emphasis on our success in those areas. And so, anyway, I do see, oh my gosh, did Christine say it was her birthday? Okay, we're going to come back. We're going to come back and properly acknowledge you in a second. But I did want to quickly, you know, lay the foundation about Martha's Vineyard and some of the preconceived notions and why I'm talking about this now. I'm talking about this now because during my time at Martha's Vineyard, during my time on Martha's Vineyard, I met so many people. And this is the first time that I went. And I would say at least 50% of the people that I met were first time visitors to the island. And they were first time visitors with no real clear direction, other than the fact that last week was the week to go because of the African American Film Festival and all the parties, and, the Obamas will be in town and this and that. And there was a mark that I think that was missed, because the one thing that I've noticed during my visits there is that the people that you meet who come from all different walks of life are people that have, for the most part, a genuine connection to the community and making sure that we're going to be all right. Now, there are people that do fall into that elitism category. And if you're not from a certain quote unquote pedigree, then yeah, you may not be invited to this, or you may not be able to go to that. And you may not fit into this clique. But the large percentage of people that you will run into, life changing. they will change your life in ways that you never thought that they would. So no, you don't have to be wealthy, you don't have to be connected, you don't have to be famous or part of a certain clique like a sorority, fraternity, Jack and Jill, or any of that. Um, to visit and have a good time on the vineyard. Are these people there in abundance? Absolutely. But they're not the only communities that are represented there. Martha's Vineyard is a place where Black people have intentionally, with intent. One of the reasons why I go is we intentionally go there for rest. We intentionally go there to build relationships. We intentionally go there to exchange ideas, and intentionally go there to expand what's possible for future generations, which y'all know here. I always talk about, let us take care of the babies. Let's make sure the babies are good. And boy, oh boy, did I get a sprinkle of all of that in the short time that I was on the island. And so the history that exists on the island, the generations that come from that legacy that still return, the safety that you feel while you're there. I did want to bring up, I also received comments that, oh, Martha's Vineyard isn't for Black people. And I'm like, see, have you been? That lets me know that you've never gone. Because if there's one thing that Martha's Vineyard is, it's accepting. And I won't even say accepting, I would say embracing of us. And so it's very, that's one of the reasons why there was a target on the island when they were shipping, no, I shouldn't say sending boats, not boats. Well, it had to eventually be boats, but buses of what they called illegal immigrants to the island. There's a reason they did that. They were targeting quote unquote blue states, or what they would call states that are following woke practices. And so there's so much misinformation. Tonight, we're going to get into what's real and what's fake. Like I said, there's a history that we won't go into tonight, but the history was not about wealth. The history did not start out that it was wealthy Black people who said, yeah, let's go to Oak Bluffs and develop community. These were teachers, these were principals, these were educators that were able to find a little corner of that island and be as free as possible during those times. And when I say those times, we're talking generations. And so tonight, like I said, we're going to go over 10 reasons why every Black person I know should experience Martha's Vineyard at least once. And now let me properly say hi to who's in the building. Hey, Shalonda, good to see you in the building. And let's take a quick minute to say happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Listen, I don't want this to get flagged, so I can't sing the whole song. But happy birthday, Christine. Oh my gosh. I'll connect when we disconnect over here. Hey, our Choice Halling. Good to see you in the building. Hey, Yvette, what is going on? Glad you were able to make this live. And so, again, we're not going to be here for a long time. I promise you that. I say this all the time. So we've been here just over, 9 minutes. Give me another 9 and we'll be done. Because I'm going to go through this quick. As someone who is not of what they would call the pedigree, like my dad did not graduate from Harvard. There's a lot of Harvard grads there because of proximity to Boston. My mom, was not part of the cotillion of this, debutante coalition. None of that. We are not wealthy. There are so many things that people label Martha's Vineyard, specifically the Black people that visit, that is incorrect. And the most of it has to do with wealth and education. The main reason I want, well, not the main, let me level set. One of the main reasons why I want everyone to experience Martha's Vineyard at least once, especially if you have children and grandchildren, is because of the leisure, the safety, and the peaceful leisure that exists on that island. Being able to walk the streets as a teenager in Oak Bluffs with your friends late at night and not having to worry about being picked up by the police or harassed by the police, and the parents not having to worry about that either, that in and of itself, if you are someone looking for some place to travel domestically with your family, especially young children, young adults, please, please, please add Martha's Vineyard to your list. The level of the amount of smiles and pure joy that I saw on these kids' faces at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night brought tears to my eyes, especially in light of all of the chaos, the horrific news, the news that will make you want to holler, throw up both your hands, for lack of me being able to say what I really want to say. Oh my gosh, I wish I could take every young adult from the inner city, from um, not just the inner city, but people, young adult who has not had the chance to experience that type of joy, to be able to walk to the ocean, even if you don't swim, to be able to sit on the beach and make friends and connections. And these are friendships that are being formed at very critical ages that will endure. That will endure. And so the joy, the leisure, not only for adults, but for the young adults, for the teenagers. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen anything like it anywhere, anywhere. And I've traveled, I've traveled a lot. Um, the second thing I want to talk about is, although people tend to equate Martha's Vineyard with the Black bourgeoisie, what many don't know is that it was rooted in struggle. Often, like nowadays, we see on social media the parties, the white parties, the celebrities, and all of that on the island. But if you understand 100 years ago, 100 years from today, these people that decided to start calling Martha's Vineyard home, it was because they were denied entry to other areas, to other places. The segregation that existed could cost people their lives, right? And we know the stories. We're not going to get into that today. I will be back, actually. As I say that, I will be back tomorrow to talk about, some of the stories happening in the news, i.e., what's going on in Indiana, what's going on, well, many things that are going on. And before I continue, rest in peace, Nolan. Today would have been his 19th birthday. And I'm not going to get too deep in that, but I'm just going to, ask that you say a prayer. We're going to take 5 seconds of silence to say a prayer for the family, for justice, and not just for him, but the other stories the other people that are not getting that much attention. So 5 seconds. And that kind of leans into point number 2, where it wasn't safe to attend certain beaches, certain getaways, right? We see what happened with young Nolan. These things still exist. So when you think about the generations that came before us, the ones that literally worked hard to maintain a home in Martha's Vineyard, on Martha's Vineyard, to escape all of those horrific things that could happen if you accidentally went to a beach where you weren't allowed, and your family, like all of those things were real. And that's why there was a thing called the Green Book to let us know where it was safe to travel. And you better hope that green book was updated timely, and you got the news timely, because literally it was worse than dangerous to make assumptions on where you could and could not go. It could truly have been catastrophic. And so what eventually became a level of prestige in on Martha's Vineyard started with us building community, so that if there was a family that wanted to, vacation someplace, not having to worry with mainstream hotels, with mainstream tourism allow you to visit, you didn't have that in Martha's Vineyard. So I really want us to understand that, yes, are there levels to the different classes of people that attend or visit the vineyard during the summer? Absolutely. All of it, from the legacy. Now, I'm not going to say the new people, the newbies, but the legacy is that it was rooted in refuge, rooted in community, rooted in support, rooted in comfort, rooted in each one teaching one, right? And each one looking out for the other one. And so that still kind of exists there. Again, you will not be invited to everything, nor do you need to be. The social interactions that just happen from sitting outside eating ice cream in downtown, or well, Circuit Avenue, which is also known as Main Street, the standing in line for a Fat Ronnie's burger, and you're meeting people and talking to them, and you're finding out what you have in common. There was this young sister, I'm going to highlight her. We're sitting down right outside of Main Street eating, and they were on one side of the bench and we're on the other. It turns out this sister is amazing. She is a designer. This was her first time on island. And when I tell you, bad, the clothes that she designs has custom made. Matter of fact, for those of you who know who Lauren LaRosa is from TMZ fame, as well as The Breakfast Club, she's a model for her clothing. She's a mom. Like, the level of creatives and minds and energy and go-getters, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to get to those reasons later. But the people that you meet, you will find your tribe. You will find your tribe. And sometimes, especially in today's era, we need to find our tribe. We need to, whether you're staying here in the US or you're moving abroad, you need to find your tribe, and you need to find the right tribe. And if you're not with the right tribe, that's a whole different conversation for another day. But Martha's Vineyard gives you the opportunity to, okay, these are my people, these aren't my people. These are good people. I could learn from those people. You may have to call this person later. There's doctors, there's lawyers, there's teachers, there's designers, there's everything under the sun. I did want to come on because there's a lot of fakery on social media that it's just a party city, that during these 2-3 weeks in, well, primarily August, it is, oh, white party here, yellow party there, D nice here, funk flex there. It's more than that. It is so much. Oh my gosh. I want all of us to experience it at least once. And I'm going to talk more about 2027 and how, if whoever's interested, and this is primarily for first timers, I may be hosting 2 weeks up there, definitely one for our Rain Society members only. So if you're part of the Rain Society, you will get an invitation. I know y'all, right? We spend a lot of time together. So I can't expose people to people I don't know. But if you're interested in helping us curate a trip for you, and when I say us, I'll talk more about that later. Well, we can do that. So, but as I was getting ahead of myself, number 3, and I'm going to start reading them off and then coming back because I don't want y'all here all night long. Number 3, Martha's Vineyard lets you see multiple versions of Black success in one place. And there's levels of success. And if you're not claiming yourself as a success, that may not, you may need to go to get a dose of that energy. You'll find people who have owned property in the vineyard on the vineyard for generations. You'll find corporate executives and entrepreneurs, professors, doctors, attorneys, public servants, entertainers, creators, retirees, young professionals, first-time visitors, people coming over for a day, because for those of you that don't know, you could come from Rhode Island for a day. You can come from, I mean, that's a longer trip, but if you're coming from like Cape Cod, there's some from Boston, people, do a day or overnight trip. You'll find that people are more inclined to be open, talk to you, want to know about you, laugh. I saw so many laughs and smiles. I mean, and I usually do, but this year, because there were so many new first timers that I mentioned earlier, it was just even more, it was more noticeable to me because I think I was paying attention more. Um, you will also find, of course, people coming for the major events. You know, I wasn't there for that. I did attend a couple of events, but again, my primary reason for going there was very different. You will also, walking down the street, you see everyone from, I don't know what actors, Malik Yoba, Lorenz Tate. At a restaurant, you may be sitting next to Bill Murray. Like, the amount of celebrity there is insane, has always been, but it's such a beautiful place that no one's running up to, oh, can I take a picture? Can I get your autograph? Now, if you're at, if you're at someone's house and there's an event that caters to that, then go ahead. But just walking down the street, it's just like everybody has their hair down. You don't see paparazzi. It is a beautiful experience. And I want everyone, like I said, every one of us to know first that you belong there. No matter what level of success you have in your life, what level of finances. Now, I ain't gonna lie. August and July, August, and September, well, through Labor Day on the vineyard, ain't cheap. Ain't cheap at all. But there are ways to fit many budgets. Okay. So when I say it's not cheap, you're not going to find a hotel room for $99. You're not going to find a hotel room for under $300 probably, but there's ways to strategize. And if your budget allows you to only go for 3 days, then maybe one of those days is spent in Cape Cod and you ferry over. But there's so many ways and opportunities for us to experience this magical place called Martha's Vineyard. And so there's also a National Museum of African American History. Oak Bluffs is where you'll find most of the relics, I should say, or the cultural history, like the Inkwell Beach and all of that. But throughout the island, of which there are a total of 6 towns, there's a lot of history as it relates to Native Americans. Oh my gosh, there's so much that you can learn on this island, and people tend to I can't even say not many people who go for the first time know this before they go. And so that's why I wanted to come back while this was fresh, while, I'm getting so many questions. For some of you, I have a travel community as well. And I posted about the newest hotspot in Oak Bluffs. And here came the questions, the people wanting help in planning. And so I'm not sure if you follow me. Hey, Siobhan, good to see you. I'm gonna come back and get your questions in a second. And whoever sees this by midnight tonight, oh, hey, Siobhan, I appreciate you too. Thank you so much. I did create the Black Travel and Culture Presents Martha's Vineyard First Timer Survival Guide. And this is the lesser known facts about the island. So like I mentioned, there's 6 towns. People don't know that there's 6 towns. There's 2 ports of entry. People don't know that. There's Oak Bluffs and then there's Vineyard Haven. People don't know that Oak Bluffs terminal shuts down after high season and you only can enter and exit through Vineyard Haven. People also don't know that Circuit Avenue, which is the main street in Oak Bluffs, used to be called Main Street. And if you're an old timer, you'll hear them say Main Street. You don't say you're in Martha's Vineyard, you say you're on Martha's Vineyard. Although I've been gone for years and child, it depends upon the day. You may hear me say, oh, I'm in Martha's Vineyard. I'm on island is another thing. So these are lesser known facts for people. And it helps you understand more about the island before you go or before you even decide if you really want to go. And so the child. I thought I was scrolling on people's names. I'm sorry. Oh, you're welcome for birthday. Your birthday wish. Everybody's saying happy birthday. You love living in Boston. Okay, Shalonda. Yes, 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 yes. You heard many Jamaican citizens don't have access to their own beaches. Oh, in Jamaica. Oh, yeah, they're trying to privatize a lot. I believe, Chi- the, a lot of Chinese businesses brought up some of that land as well. Yes, it is. You also heard a Black Shelf opened a nice restaurant on Martha's Vineyard. Which one? Are you talking about G. Garvin? If you're talking about G. Garvin, I'll give you a glimpse into it's called Inkwell Beach Club. And so him and AJ Calloway, they partnered and opened Inkwell Beach Club this past, I don't remember the official date, but yeah. And I think I said hi to Siobhan. And so yes, and so here's if you're interested later, you could go to the bit.ly guide to Martha's Vineyard. I actually think I may even have, let me see if I could put oh, didn't I say I was gonna get through this quick, John? I sure did. I sure did. Okay, I was gonna put my little QR jammy jam. So give me 1 second. Guide to MV. Okay. And then un momento, por favor. Downloads. Okay. Uh-oh. I'm sorry, y'all. But anyway, let's continue as I'm typing. I hope let's not do that. Because I'm already mistyping. But let me know if you've ever been to Martha's Vineyard or if you want to visit. Okay. So I think this is it, y'all. I didn't bring my phone, so I can't even try it. But I think this is actually the code. So if you join later, you can download or order your guide now. And I'm going to show you a glimpse into it at the end. So let's get through the rest of them. Oh my goodness, I didn't even get through to number 4 yet. So number 4, it goes back to the access. So let me just recap the first 3. Leisure, we need it, we need it, we need it, and we need it where we can feel safe. I don't know if I told you guys before, in Myrtle Beach, there is now a curfew. If you are under the age of 18 and you are walking on Ocean Drive, which is something we used to do as kids all the time, and you're not with an adult, you can be detained. You don't have to worry about that in Martha's Vineyard. We know that's going to lead to nothing good for nobody. There is no, and you know who they're targeting, right? So we need leisure. When we remember that what we see as bougie today was refuge generations ago, then it kind of level sets the angst that we feel when we're going to some place where there may be people who definitely are more financially well off than we are and may come with a certain air because they went to certain schools, but there's still a common denominator that everybody was looking for refuge, right? And when you look at people through that lens, it kind of makes things a little different. The ability to see different levels of success and not just see it, access it, be invited to random people's, cottages and have, conversations about this and that, and then realizing that because we're like 2 to 3 degrees of separation, all of us, right? And I mean, Black people, you'll realize that this person who knows that person, and then maybe you're related to this person and that person. It's just a beautiful experience. Number 4, and once you're around that proximity to once you have access to these different levels of wealth and different levels of success, it can change what you believe is possible. You used to hear, I know my parents, when they first saw the Supremes perform on the Ed Sullivan Show, and I may have gotten that mixed up, or they first saw the first Black person with a talk show, like that's a moment. That is something that allows you, like, oh, wow, like this is possible. It's the same on the Vineyard. When you meet these judges or you meet people who have a house staff or people who clean their house and do their dishes and when you see that type of success, it makes you believe that you're worthy of it and it's possible. Again, you'll see authors, you'll be sitting next to someone that you don't even know is a New York Times bestselling author. I was at they don't really go, there was a house gathering. I'm meeting this lady. I had no idea. She's one of the most brilliant political strategists that has worked on campaigns from the Clintons to the Obama. Like, it is just, had no idea. And she was just, enthralled with my stories, or enthralled with my stories as I was with hers. So, and she wasn't talking about that. Anyway, it was the type of proximity that you have to these people. You just get such a burst of energy and you realize that, whew, these are people that had you not gone to on island, you would have never had these conversations. It's truly the exposure that makes it so special. And then number 5, because access is not always an invitation to a VIP party. Again, access could mean you're sitting at a table next to somebody and you guys start talking about someone's shoes or somebody's beautiful dress or the color of their lipstick or whatever. And then next thing you know, you're like, this is a director for documentaries at blah, blah, blah. And I'm in the process of trying to pitch a documentary, or my son has just written a documentary. Like, these are the type of experiences that you have. And it does not mean a white party. It doesn't mean that you have to go to the most exclusive event. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I was younger, that's the type of stuff we were chasing. But as I started to age, I'm more like, okay, where is the and we don't call them barbecues, but whose house are we going to, for dinner tonight? I read this or heard this story, actually saw it online. There was these new timers, these first timers. They didn't realize that the restaurants close, midnight, depending on the night of the week, how busy it is. So they went out thinking they were going to get some food. Everything was closed. But they were walking to go get the food. As they were walking, they walked past this house in Oak Bluffs. The family invited them in to eat. They had a whole bunch of food left over from whatever function. Now, this is the stuff that happens. And again, meeting people, you may see them again, you may not. They may be able to offer you some type of advice in the future. For the future, they may not. But it's just the camaraderie and the community that is so special. That's why that's the 5th reason. And again, being on the beach. sitting next to somebody that you just don't know who it is, and you find out that they run a Fortune 500 company, or they're worth $10 million, or 10, so it's just access. It's just access. Okay. And then number 6 is the multi-generational factor. This is one of the most special places where you will find everyone from grandma to daughter and son to children to the children's children, all communing together. And this could be at an event. I went to multiple. Y'all know I'm all about, what we got to do, who we talking to, what is the plan, and so I went to a few events, and there was everyone. So when I was, voicing my concerns about not really seeing a lot of people talk about what's next, staying ready, my trip to Martha's Vineyard filled my cup to let me know that these conversations are definitely happening, but you have to be there. You have to really be in the room, so to speak, to know that they're happening, because so many people that are getting paid on these social media platforms are scared, are fearful of talking about how we should stay ready so we don't have to get ready because they may lose their monetization or whatever. But again, going to Martha's Vineyard, staying and immersing yourself in cultural activities, you will find these people. It's not about networking. It's not about asking how much money you make a year. People are talking about investments. People are talking about this new plan for their grandchildren that they just invested into that can yield X amount in, 10 years. Like, these are the types of conversations that are happening. We have 3 more to get through, and then we'll be done. Let me see if there's any questions, and then we'll thank you so much. More happy birthdays. Oh, thank you, girl. Yeah, I have to put the color in and put these little twists in. Is the guide a complete link? I don't know what that means. Let me see. Is it a link? Let me see. What did I put? Maybe not. Let me just put the link in again. Here's the full link. But if you want to get in before 12 for the half price, because I really only promoted it to my travel community, because I knew the interest was there. But let me go ahead and put this link in the comment section. It still will be available after midnight tonight, but the 50% off goes away. And we've already gotten reviews, and the people's approve. So let me go ahead and I hid from them, child. They was out there. They was out there. I ran into a couple though, but I also was at Harlem. I did some things for Harlem Week business wise, and I saw some of them there. But I wasn't there for that. I promise you, I wasn't. I had higher intentions. The organic meetings or introductions are the best. No fake pretense. Exactly. And there were so many of them. And okay, you tested the link. It's working. Good. Thank you so much, Christine. Okay. So let me go ahead and finish the last. Did I say, child, I be trying to keep my word. I be trying to keep my word and be done. But let me get to number 7. We need all different economic classes, CLASSES, different classes, not school, but wealthy, not wealthy, and everything in between, in order for us to get through what's coming. We cannot exist only as a community with the wealthy. And we cannot exist only as a community with those who are struggling financially. I'm trying to bust y'all in the head with the latter part of not struggling financially, right? And we'll talk more later about the upcoming YouTube challenge that I have coming up starting September 5th. I think is the kickoff call. I may have the dates wrong, but I want to showcase all of these women. There is this woman, and I'm going to show her later. I don't, AK7, we need all different economic classes in order to be successful for what's to come. We're going to need teachers. We need business owners. We need artists. We need investors. We need entrepreneurs. We need workers. We need doctors. We need organizers. We need retirees. We need young people. We need elders. We need homeowners. We need renters. We need first generation wealth builders. We need multi generational wealth builders. The list goes on and on. There is a huge, huge, huge mistake in believing that different economic classes cannot occupy the same Black cultural space. If you look at everything from the freedom fighters from before, Harriet Tubman would not have been able to exist without wealthy people helping her, right? Every example of successful activists needed every level of class to help them, get through whatever objections, whatever obstacles they faced. And so when we realize that our resources flow through relationships and that our knowledge flows through relationships and that our opportunities flow through relationships, and we really put a pin in the fact that our culture is all about relationships, you will know, you will understand, you will believe that the community needs all of us. And I have not seen one singular place yet that has so many from various sectors of our community where we can build together. And so that's a key reason why, if you are looking for someplace domestically to travel, this high season is winding down. 2026 may not be, possible for you. Some people go in October. It's not as robust. I kind of like it, but if you are going for a first time, I do recommend July through September. Also, number 8, because sometimes you need to enter spaces before you feel like you belong. This is a word right here. That is one of my mantras. There is not one place on this earth that you can tell me, you can't tell me, right? I could tell me, but you're not going to tell me I don't belong. My entire career trajectory has been a testimony that if you tell me I can't, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Watch me, just watch me. And a lot of times we get fearful of people looking at us like, where did she come from? Who invited them? Well, who's your people? How, that's a fear that we have to release. We don't belong in every room. And a lot of times we have to remember rejection is often God's protection. If this is not your tribe over here, find your tribe, find people that you can build with. I was going to tell you something personal, but I'll save that for another day. And never ever confuse one person's elitist attitude with the whole sum of people. Again, you will meet some of them, some of those people that the book, The Four Agreements, that I encourage everyone to read all the time. When you come across that, the first thing I go to, listen, I don't take anything personal. What happened to you today to make you act this way, I will never probably know. What you're going through in your life, I don't know. So I'm not going to take how you treat me personal. I'm going to just move on to the next. And that's what type of energy and focus wise people bring to the island. And so Number 9, and let's get through the last two real quick. Number 9, a lot of times, and this kind of taps into what we just talked about, a lot of times what we define or some people defined as bougie, it just means unfamiliar. It just means that, oh, I've never met anyone like this before. And we'll label that person as being pretentious without having any real interaction with them. So just by owning, and listen, many of us probably have gone through that, right? I was child. Me going to Howard University was pretentious and bougie to some people that I grew up with, right? Me traveling, pretentious and bougie, if it wasn't, to Miami or LA or something like that. So there have been people who have put labels on me, which makes me even more sensitive to not put labels on anyone else until I get to experience them, right? One on one. Sometimes people are fearful for meeting new people. And if you are somebody who are icebreaker, a barrier breaker, and you could break the ice and put someone at ease, you will see that that person was not pretentious at all. They just were not social butterflies. And so instead of immediately just labeling somebody as bougie or elite because they have more than you do, or maybe they're quieter, or maybe they have a title, get to know them. Let your children get to know their children. That's really where the magic happens. There's so much social capital on Martha's Vineyard. If you are not investing in it, and if you're just going because you want to go on the inkwell because you saw a movie, or you want to go because you saw, the Netflix show Forever, or you want to go because the reality show that was, wrong answer. Wrong answer. People like to talk about themselves. And sometimes the biggest icebreaker that you can offer is just asking them, oh my goodness, so your family's owned this home for 40 years? Oh, I would love, love, love to hear about your first time realizing that this was your family's. Like, this is something that other people covet to do. And I'm just talking off the top of the dome. Listen, I'm a salesperson. So at the end, it could be any type of conversation, but people like talking about themselves. Now, don't engage them to the point to your detriment where you're not getting anything from the conversation, but oftentimes it will lead to learning how we as as my generation can help the next generation, and the generation behind me can help the generation after that. Or where are these meetings that are happening where we're talking about, should this happen, this is what we need to do. It's all about communication. And at this time, and I've said it time and time again, communication, social capital is one of our most important tools that we need to use to get out of whatever we're about to face. And then 10, just not only just seeing Black people experience joy, but to seeing Black people experience joy and, in large numbers at scale. Not just a couple people skipping down the street. That whole island is full of joy. That whole island. I told you, I'm walking down the street, people are just cackling, smiling, sitting on a bench. You're going to talk to them. We need this. We need this because the trauma that we are experiencing needs an opposite and equal way to not suppress, but to get rid of. We need equal energy. We need the same type of positive energy to match all this negative energy so that we don't lose our minds. And so you'll see us dancing in the street. You'll see us, hugging, running into old friends, meeting new friends, going to, all types of events, sitting on porches. We talked about that, walking to the beach, dressing up, dressing down, all of the things. Like, it is such an amazing experience. And I want all of us to have it. The first time I went, I was a kid and my parents went. We used to go to Cape Cod and then ferry over. But then well, during college, of course, you're going to meet all types of people, wealthy, not wealthy, whatever. Met people who owned homes there. Still, hang out with them to this day. And that's the type of connections that I want each one of us to experience. People call it the Howard University of vacation places, right? Howard is known as the Mecca, and people say that about Martha's Vineyard. It's actually nicknamed the Rock, but is known as the Mecca for Black excellence. And some people have a problem with Black excellence. I just believe that Black excellence are people, for me, what I've experienced, what I see, what I spend my time around, are people that push each other to not settle for whatever it is to come, to not settle for the status quo, and to, use all of our gifts unapologetically. And what I really want to do is eventually, you know what? I'm not even gonna go there, because I do believe that oh my goodness, are we 51 minutes in? Good Lord, what happened? Um Oh, good night, Siobhan. So glad you were able to come through and catch it. And again, I'll be back. I do have to travel in like a week and a half back to South Carolina, but I'll be back a few times this week. I do want to definitely talk about all of the stories that are happening. There are so many that, including American Express and other credit cards, cutting people's credit limits who didn't have one, with cards that they are paying a whole lot of money to have. And so, economic factors that we need to pay attention to, and why I'm pushing y'all once again to listen, start making that money. It is so, I wish I could showcase to y'all. Anyway, were there any Black pilots to add to the conversation? Oh, absolutely. There were, I think, see, it's been a week and I done been to Harlem week, and I mean Harlem Day Sunday, so I may start confusing people. But a good majority of the Black politicians go there. There was also a new president of Spelman University that was named, and a lot of Spelman, or I should say even Spell House alum, came to recognize her, to honor her. I'm trying to think. Girl, I'm gonna have to put it in the description, because I can't recall right now. But yeah, there were a lot of politicians. There were a lot of course, celebrities. There were pastors. Jamal Bryant was there, I want to say, for a couple of weeks. Who else was there? There's a Pastor Mike that's really popular. I think I told y'all Tamika Mallory was there. Joyanne Reed, you may have seen that post. Um, goodness. Yeah, I'll do a recap of the dignitaries that were on island, and there are more there now. Like, this is Soul Fest week right now, so there are a lot of people that have just gotten, well, what's today, Wednesday, that got there this past weekend and will be there for this week, and then for the next couple of weeks leading up into Labor Day, which is another big weekend on the island. Yeah, there's tons of people. And I will say, oh my gosh, I shudder to think how popular it will be next year, because Forever Part 2 on Netflix comes out, and we know that's going to probably, people are going to start watching Part 1 again, which is going to pique interest. And so yeah, but I highly, highly, highly recommend and want everyone to visit and just see why people call it, is nicknamed the happy place. And it's nicknamed that for a reason. And while there are, wealthy people, while there are levels of pretentious people, the overwhelming experience, if you let your hair down, let your guard down, and don't go in there with preconceived notions, will be extremely positive. And with that, it has been almost an hour. Didn't plan to be here this long. It's after 11. So I am going to respect as much of the rest of your night as I can. But yeah, check the posts. I'll post tomorrow what time. I do have to run into the city, and so I don't know what time I'll be back, but it'll be tomorrow evening. I will come back live to talk about some of the topics that I think are important, especially as it relates to finances and also safety. And so we'll be back tomorrow to talk about that. But until then, I thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned. If you didn't order the book, remember in 57 minutes or 58, um, the price, the 50% off goes away. This was a labor of love based on the questions that I have, based on my time on the island, years, as well as the people that I know, who are ingrained in society. Yes, Christine, thank you for reminding me. If you haven't already, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, become part of the Gem Nation family. Share this video for someone. You never know. You never know. We say sharing is caring, because you never know who you will be helping, who needs this information, who may be looking for places to build community, who was on the fence about traveling to, oh my goodness, it's supposed to pour tomorrow. To traveling to Martha's Vineyard. And yeah, thank you so much, Christine. But until tomorrow, I will say good night. And you can see the QR code up in the corner if you're interested in getting the Martha's Vineyard first timer survival guide. Thank you, one. Thank you all. Everyone have a good night. Until tomorrow. Bye.